So let's talk about some of the sources that we may have to gather this information. One source is newspapers. When you look at newspapers, you need to understand the bias that may be presented in various newspapers. So a newspaper might be about a community. And if they were from a city, a town, or a rural community where that newspaper was produced, there may be a bias in how those stories are told. You'll also see the information about that community and about the local area, what was happening in those areas. It'll talk to you about storms, festivals, other events in those areas. And you may have to, focus your research on a small hometown newspaper to get the details of what was happening. But then you may want to go to a larger regional paper to see the historical context of an area. You can look in the newspapers and find the social pages. And these have some really great little tidbits about, who visited whom, where were they traveling, were they attending social events, card parties, birthdays, anniversaries, and who else was attending those events. This allows you to put them in place with their community. Now you have names of other people that they associate it with. And you can reach out, search for some of the information about those friends and associates that they may have had, and build some context into those stories with their information. You may find in their obituaries or marriage announcements, lots of historical context within those. They're going to tell you things about what organizations they were, what occupations they had, who were their relatives, where did they live. I enjoy reviewing the advertisements to understand their lives. There may be different appliances that are advertised, the first automatic washing machine, or propane stoves, or automobiles, or whatever it might be that you find in these advertisements. You can put those in and utilize those as part of the story. And then you can also find county histories. Many libraries, Google Books, various different sources for county histories are available to you. And those county histories give you a view of the life in a particular county at a given time. They're filled with biographies. It lets you know who's doing what business, who's doing what families. So it builds a context of the community that they lived in. And you can also find information about the county, its history itself. So when was the county formed? When were the towns established? Did the capital of the county move from different locations, between different locations? What happens to the courthouse? Did they have a fire? Those things may be located in those county histories, and that'll help explain why you can or cannot find certain records while you're doing your research. And also look at the FamilySearch Wiki. You can pull up a county or a region and look to see what's written in the wiki about that region. For example, this is Auglaize County, Ohio. This is one of the areas that I research. And you see right in the middle of the page, it lists when major records started. Birth records started in 1867, marriage records 1848, and so on and so forth. So this gives you an idea about the history of the records based in those counties. These wiki pages also tell you things like boundary changes, the populated places. They may provide a historical timeline. All of that information can help you build the story also. Of course, everybody uses Google. Google has a lot of different places that you can search. So you can do a basic internet search on Google. But if you want to get into the books, you can go to books.google.com or Google Scholar. Google Scholar is usually scientific research materials, but it can be historical, it can be cultural. So they're published scholarly journals. You can go to Google Maps and you can see an area, see if the houses are still there, see if the grid pattern for the town is still there, see if you're using a plat map. You can see if that plat map relates back to the Google Maps. And one of the talks that I have, shows how to overlay those so you can see those images of the paper maps versus the satellite maps. Google Patents gives you an idea, what inventions were happening during a period of time. The Google Newspaper Archives is still out there and has a large collection of newspapers that you can use for free. I use Google Images all the time to get an image of maybe a person worked for a certain company. I can grab a picture of that company and what it looked like during that time frame. Or maybe somebody, the other day I was doing research on the Ohio Institution for the Education of the Deaf and Dumb. And I had 3 sisters who were all students at that school. And so I was able to go to Google Images. I put in the name of the school and I got the information. I got different pictures of the school during different times in its history. And I was able to utilize that for my description of their education. And then there's a page on Google, it's called Dataset Research. And you can put in things like 1950 census, and it will pull up statistical data on that census. And that might give you some information to utilize for your stories.